I'll call this meeting to order and ask if we could have the land acknowledgement in our national anthem. And for those who are able to stand for a national anthem, we do so at that time. So, Mr. Tech, please play our land acknowledgement. Thank you.
The land upon which we work, live, and sustain ourselves is the ancestral and treaty lands of the Michizagig Anishinaabe, also known today as the Mississaugas of the Credit, the rightful caretakers and title holders of this land. We also recognize the rich pre-contact history and relationships which include the Anishinaabe and the Ongwe Hongwe.
Since European contact, this land continues to be home to indigenous and non-indigenous peoples. As responsible community members, we value the diversity, dignity, and worth of all people.
Colonialism displaced and dispossessed indigenous peoples of their ancestral land
and continues to deny their basic human rights, dignities, and freedoms.
We are committed to learning true history to reconcile, make reparations, and fulfill our treaty obligations to the original peoples and our collective responsibilities to the lands, water, animals, and each other for future generations.
Thank you. Okay, trustees, you have the agenda before you. There is no addition to the agenda tonight, so I'm going to ask Trustee Promoli, Trustee K. McDonald to move the agenda for me. All those in favor? Carries. Thank you. And the declaration of conflict of interest? I'm seeing none. So we're going to move down to item 6, which is staff recognition, and I'm just going to turn it over to Chair Chahal.
Thank you, Chair Green. And through you, I'm happy to recognize our retiring staff members. Every month, the Peel District School Board recognizes the staff members who are retiring or have recently retired. Today, we are happy to recognize our 27 staff members who are retiring from service. Among them are 1 assistant to associate director, 3 elementary vice principals, 7 classroom teachers, 1 library teacher, 1 office manager, 1 head custodian, 2 custodians, 3 educational assistants, 2 building lead heads, 1 account payable clerk, 1 office manager, 1 office assistant budget, 1 supervisor continuing education, 1 library information technician, 1 school attendant. All names and the titles of the retirees are displayed on the screen. We thank all the retirees for their service and dedication to the board, students, families, and the community. It is through the collective work and efforts of our staff that makes a positive difference in the lives of our students, their families, and the communities. Your commitment to help each student achieve to the best of their ability is appreciated. We wish the very best for your happy retirement. Congratulations and thank you.
Thank you Vice Chair Johal, Trustee Cameron, Trustee Benjamin. All those in favor? Carries. Thank you. Again, I move down to item 7, which is the chair announcements. And tonight, I'm just going to ask you to bear with me. Over the last few weeks, the director and I have been quite busy meeting with ministry and basically gathering guidance and direction from ministry. So one of the call that we were on, it was a direct request from the new Minister of Education, Minister Dunlap, and the director and I was there. And I'm going to read directly, word for word, what she said to us. And then I will also share with you question that I asked, and I will share with you in brief. Also, we had the privilege of also meeting with our new, the new AD. So I'll talk to you about that. So here's what Minister of Education stated. Our government is making historic investment in public education, and parents expect school board to be responsible steward of those dollars and prioritize students' achievement. In light of the recent events, I want to be absolutely clear about investments and our commitment to strengthening our public education system and improving student experience. To maintain public confidence in the education system, it is imperative that taxpayers' dollars goes towards supporting student achievement and better equipped teachers in the classroom rather than being squandered on inappropriate expenditures. As a result, we will be reviewing discretionary expense, including them in our biannual disclosure of boards financial embedded through Bill 98 to create a more accountable and transparent school board. Hardworking taxpayers and parents deserve to know that the money they provide and invest towards student education is going to the classrooms, and school board have a responsibility to act as responsible steward of that funding. Trustees, directors of education, and executive leaders play a critical role in managing school board expenses effectively by setting and adhering to a robust policy framework and administrative procedure that prioritize values for money. By focusing on these principles, we can ensure that every dollar spent contributing to the success and the well-being of our students and the integrity of our education system. I expect trustees and school board executive lead by example, exercise sound judgment, and champion fiscal responsibility, such as leadership in critical and fostering a culture of accountability, ensuring that our resources are managed wisely so we can graduate the best and brightest students in the country. I inquire from the minister around what are some of the stuff that we can't and we should not be spending funds on. One of them, because I know some of our trustees has concern about capacity building and so forth. So the minister and both the new deputy minister would have said that they agree that trustee, anything that is going to help trustee to gain the necessary knowledge so that for their role as trustee and is acceptable. However, they emphasize that traveling outside of the country should be avoided at all costs. They mentioned that CSBA and OPSPR are long-standing approved professional development program that supports continue for trustees, and these they would have said must continue. They encourage us that should we have any question around what we can spend our discretion on, that we can pick up the phone and we can call for clarification. Because and then the reason why I asked this is because trustee asked question about basically spending money for trustee development. They talk about also is as long as we are making good decision and can provide reasoning for the spending that goes towards improving student outcome, it is okay to do that. So that was clear. So the other thing is that I just wanted to know that the director and I also meet with a new AD, ADM, sorry, Giselle De Santos, who was at the board here as legal counsel for some time, who we had a very positive meeting, and very supportive of the work that has been done here in Peel and the progress we have made over the last 2 years. And she looked forward to continue working with us to ensure that we continue this great work. They see Peel as a leading board, Ministry you're saying, and that a board that is out front and progressive, and they would like to see other board take example from Peel, the work that we are doing here. One of the things that I brought to her attention and said, how can you help? I spoke to them about the violence in our school that we are having challenges with, and I said, how can you help? How can you provide some resource to us to support our staff, and not only our staff, our students, especially those that are special needs students? She would have said, we recognize that this is a challenge, not just in Peel, but across the province. And she would assure us that the ministry is working on a plan, and that plan, hopefully in the very near future, in the new year, that plan will come forward, but it's going to come forward in a mandate. So we kind of look at each other and, kind of wonder what that's going to look like. But she said, help is on the way. So let's wait and see what that helps look like. So, all in all, the meeting was very, very positive. And, as she said, she looked forward to continue working with us. And we look forward to working with her. That's how positive the meeting was. So, Trustee, thank you for listening. If you have any question, I can answer it. Carla Bale, Trustee Bailey, Trustee Clark is putting this on the floor for me. Any question?
Oh my gosh, there it is. Thank you so much, Chair, for the update. I really appreciate it. Just to be clear, so the ADM said that there's going to be help on the way specifically for special education, and that's coming in the form of a mandate. Did I understand that correctly?
No, especially for violence within the school.
For violence,
How we deal with violence within the school itself. And it's not just for Peel, it's going to be right across the province. Because she said it's coming in a mandate. And when it's coming a mandate, it's not that whether you want to do it, yes or no. A mandate means you do it.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Chair. I appreciate the update. Thank you.
No worries. Any other question? I'm seeing none. All those in favor? Carries. Thank you. And I can pass this down to Nicole for me. We're going to move down to item 7, trustee appointed to external organization. I got one request, and that request was from Trustee Cameron. Go ahead, Trustee Cameron.
Thank you. And through you, Chair Green, I'd like to offer a quick update from a meeting held this week by the TRCA's Natural Science and Education Committee. Most of the GTA boards have one trustee on this committee, and I'm happy to represent our board there. At this meeting, we had 2 amazing presentations. One was from a manager of the TRCA's watershed and flood management team. This was a very informative and timely presentation, given the flooding and damages experienced in Mississauga and other parts of the GTA from heavy rainfalls and thunderstorms on August 17th and 18th, and from the intense flash flooding between July 15 and 16. There was considerable information about preventative steps we could all take to at least attempt to minimize flooding and subsequent damages. Chair Green, I requested a copy of this presentation. Once I receive it, I will distribute it to all trustees, senior team members, our physical planning, finance, and building staff, and anyone else I could be directed to share it with. The second presentation was about a program offered jointly between the Durham District School Board and the TRCA. It's a School of Archaeological Studies, and it offers dual credit courses for any secondary school students, including students from outside of the area, wanting to learn about the field of archaeology. The course involves students in actual archaeological digs. Presenters shared some of the incredible historically valuable findings that classes of students have been involved in. I'd be happy to share contact information about this program should any of our staff, students, or families be interested in more information. Through you, Chair Green, I appreciate the opportunity to share this information from the TRCA's Natural Science and Education Committee meeting from this past Monday.
Thank you, Trustee Cameron. Trustee Cole, Trustee Davies, putting them on the floor for me. Any question for Trustee Cameron? See none. All those in favor? Carries. Thank you. All right, we're going to move down to item 9, which is minutes. Minutes for board meeting on October 23rd. They're here. Trustee B. McDonald, Trustee Johal is putting them on the floor for me. Question, concern? See none. All those in favor? Carries. Thank you. And we're going to move down to committee meetings for consideration. Item 10.1 at our governance minutes from our governance meeting of November the 13th. Trustee B. McDonald, Trustee Alves, putting them on the floor for me. Question, concern? See none. All those in favor? Carry. Out of that meeting, there are several motions that came out of that meeting. I'm gonna just take them all together. If you have any question or concerns, that you can, pick which one you're speaking to, and we can address them. Okay. All right. So the first one, arising from the meeting of the Governance Policy Committee held on November 13, the following recommendation are brought to the board for approval: that the conflict of interest policy attached as Appendix 1 to a report to be approved, and safe arrival school policy, that the safe arrival policy attached as a Appendix 1 to be approved. Peel a virtual school learning policy, that the Peel learning virtual school policy attached as Appendix 1 to be approved. Sorry, Appendix 3 to be approved. And the staff code of conduct policy, that the staff code of conduct policy attached as Appendix Appendix 4 to be approved. There's 5 attachments to this report. And Trustee B. McDonald, who else is in there? Trustee Davies, putting them on the floor for me. Question, concern about any of these? Trustee K. McDonald, go ahead.
Thank you. Through you, Chair. With regards to the Peel District School Board virtual schools and e-learning policy, so I'd raised a concern previously. I just want to raise it in this forum, that the fact that I'm not sure if we could embed in this policy guidelines about filling short-term teacher vacancies, and when teachers at the Peel virtual schools are away, that the learning is asynchronous, as there is a desperate need to have bodies before students attending in person. Way too often, unqualified people are filling in for our in-person learning when teachers are away. And I didn't see any reference to that in the policy. So I just want to know how we can address that. I'm really concerned about it.
So who is going to take that one that we can turn to for that one? Is LaShawn here? I didn't see. Okay. Okay. I'll turn it over to AD Aljo for that.
Thank you very much for the question, and through you, Chair Green, I'm happy to turn this over to Superintendent Smith.
Okay.
Thank you, Associate Director Ajla, and through you, Chair. Thank you for the question, Trustee McDonald. And when we were at the meeting, we had discussed about these occasional teachers for virtual schools. We require occasional teachers to cover the absence of a teacher in a virtual school because It is similar to any classroom within a face-to-face environment or a virtual environment. There are groups of students there that require the attendance, the presentation, the facilitation, and the care from a teacher. And so it is necessary for us to have set occasional teachers within our classrooms whenever there are absences for our teachers.
Okay. So then, with that said, there's no need to embed that in the policies. Is that the message?
That is correct.
All right,
Yes.
thank you. Any other follow-up, Trustee McDonald?
No, thanks.
All right, thank you. Trustee, any other questions? See none. All those in favor? Carries. Thank you. Proof. Okay, we're going to move down to 10.2, which is the minutes from our audit. Trustee Davy, Trustee Cameron is putting them on the floor for me. Question concerns? See none. All those in favor of the minutes? Okay, all right. We also have a motion coming out of the audit meeting. And it reads, arising from the meeting of the audit committee held on November the 14th, the following recommendation are brought for board approval. Consideration financial statement, the consideration financial statement for the Peel District School Board for the year ending August 31st, 2024 be approved. And the audit report for 2023-2024 for the Ministry of Education, and that the audit committee report for this period be received and to be submitted to the board, to the Ministry of Education. And this is at Appendix 2, and they're here for approval. Trustee Davy and Trustee House. Question, concern? See none. All those in favor? Carried. Thank you. All right, we're moving on. So this time we're going to move down to staff reports, and we're going to go to item 11.1, working reserve transfer for year ending 2024. And I'm going to turn it over to Director Suru to introduce AD Gill.
Thank you, Chair Green. And through you, I would now ask Associate Director and Chief Operating Officer Jaspal Gill to present this report.
Thank you, Director Suru, and through you, Chair Green. So earlier tonight, the board approved the consolidated financial statements for the 2023-24 fiscal year as part of the audit committee recommendations. As part of the year-end process, there are two recommendations in this report. The first recommendation is the transfer of funds to a dedicated working fund reserve, normally referred to as appropriated accumulated surplus. This transfer allows the implementation of specific central department and school projects and programs that were budgeted during the 23-24 year, were not completed until the following year. The second recommendation in the report is regarding the dedicated working fund reserves identified in recommendation 1. It allows the use of these funds to offset the applicable operating cost in 24-25 or future years. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Is it safe to assume that doing this will lower our borrowing costs in case that we're a little short?
Through you, Chair Green, it doesn't lower our borrowing costs. What it simply allows is that the funds that the board set aside in 23-24 for some specific programs, and they were just not completed. So we're allowing those funds to now move into this school year so the work can be completed and we can still use those funds.
Thank you for that answer.
Carries. Thank you. And we're going to move down to point 2, Director.
Yes, and through you, Chair Green, again, I'm going to ask Associate Director and Chief Operating Officer Jaspal Gill to present the schedule of financial reports to the board.
So thank you, Director Swoop, and through you, Chair Green. As part of our past practice, financial reports will be presented to the board on a quarterly basis as of There will be one for the end of November, November 30th, second one on February 28th, third one on the May 31st, and the last one for the August 31st. They are as of November 31st. So the one for the November 31st will come to the board for the December board meeting. So just as an example. So the February one most likely will come in the March board meeting and so on. But I'm happy to respond to any questions.
Bailey, putting them on the floor for me. Question, concern? See none. All those in favor? Carry. Thank you. And then 3.
Yes, through you, Chair Green, again, I'm going to ask Associate Director and Chief Operating Officer Jaspal Gill to present the 2025 borrowing resolution for school board current expenditures.
Thank you, Director Sprupe, and through you, Chair Green. This borrowing resolution, if approved by the board tonight, will allow the board to borrow funds from time to time to meet its ongoing operating expenditures during the year 2025. So this normally happens when there is a time gap between the payment of expenditures and then the board receive funds. The resolution also authorizes Chief Operating Officer and Associate Director of Operation Equity Access to apply board revenue to repay the borrowing funds as well as the interest charges. Again, happy to answer any questions.
So Trustee Promoli, putting them on the floor for me. Question. Trustee Davies.
Is it not more prudent to take the money out of our reserve funds and not incur any interest charges or banking charges?
So through you, board, Chair Green, if there are any interest charges, we do get those funds from the ministry in this case. But taking the funds out of reserve will, first of all, we will be spending our funds, and in those cases, we may have to come back to the board for approval. Also, in that case, the ministry may look at that we are using our own funds. So we rather take the funds that the ministry owes us based on our enrollment and other things from the ministry, just a time gap in this case.
Excellent answer, Syed. You answered it with the ministry will be paying the interest. Thank you.
Any other question? Seeing none, all those in favor? Carries. Thank you. And
sorry,
Trustee.
Sorry, Mr. Chairman. Sorry, I had my hand up, but I don't think it was seen.
Oh, sorry, Trustee Alves. I didn't see it. Okay, go ahead, sir.
Apologies, Mr. Chairman, for the outburst. Thank you for allowing me to ask my question, sir. Through you, Chair. I've read in section 1 of 11.3, it says any two of the chair, vice chair, the director, the chief operating officer, associate director of operations and equity of access, treasurer of the board, and associate director of school improvement and equity are hereby authorized to borrow on behalf of the board. I might understand that it would be any combination of those two roles that could authorize the borrowing.
So through you, Chair Green, that is correct. Any two could authorize the borrowing.
And through you, Chair, just as a follow-up, just for, and apologies if this is clear for others, but just for my own clarity, this would be very specific within the confines of the Education Act to cover only school board expenses, correct?
Through you, Chair Green, exactly. That is correct.
Yeah.
Understood. Thank you. No further questions, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Alves. Okay. All right. All those in favor? Carries. Thank you. Thank you for that. So as Trustee Davey alluded to reserve, later on, or maybe at our next meeting, I'm going to bring you some information, some direction from ministry about basically balancing our budget for the coming year. Okay. Thank you. Okay. All right. So I'm going to move down to item 11.4, and this is presented by our governance officer at this time. And I know when she presents, there is some question. I'm going to ask our, again, Associate Director Gill to address those questions and concern that was raised. Go ahead.
Thank you. And through the chair, I present to you this evening the Ontario Public School Boards Association membership fees for 2024-25. OPSPA plays a crucial role in advocating for and unifying public education in Ontario through active participation in government discussions and collaboration with partner organizations. This year, they have highlighted significant achievements, such as legal victories in copyright matters and efforts that have led to savings on natural gas and electricity rates for school boards. OPSPA supports approximately 1.4 million students by promoting and enhancing public education, providing professional development, and ensuring effective advocacy. Membership fees remain stable, although individual fees may vary based on each board's administration grant. For the upcoming fiscal year, the board's membership fee will be $288,261.87, slightly higher than the previous year, which was $284,128.33. This fee is a financial commitment that is budgeted annually. Collective advocacy through OPSPA is beneficial. OPSPA strengthens community voices in education, fosters collaboration, and provides resources for improved governance and teaching. Their focus on equity and inclusion is essential for creating a more equitable education system for all communities. The recommendation before you this evening is to continue the board's membership with the association. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Trustee Bailey is putting it on the floor. Trustee Johal putting it on the floor for me. Question or concerns? Trustee Cameron, question.
Thank you. Through you, Chair, I'm a little bit confused by the numbers. When I looked at the report, it looked like this year the invoice is for $288,261.87. But it also said that last year's invoice was $251,441, which is a difference of $36,820. And so my question is, how do we get to just a slight increase as described by governance officer to 36,000? And I have an issue if it's 36,000, and I think we should talk about that.
Yeah, so thank you for that, Trustee Cameron. And I'll let my governance officer, our governance officer, respond to that, but I can also clarify.
Yes, that has since been updated on the report. That was a clerical error, and I could look to our Associate Director Gill for more clarification if needed.
So through you, Chair, I think the clerical error was, even though the 24-25 fees included the GST, the 2023 number that is included in the report is after the GST rebate. Okay, so it's comparing apples and to oranges type of thing. But if we comparing both numbers, the 24-25, including the GST, and the 23-24 GST, the increase is just over $4,000.
Okay, thank you. I think we should be careful with clerical errors when we're talking about the volume of dollars, especially at this time, when we just heard a report from the chair about what the minister has said with all eyes on all boards. We need to be fiscally prudent, and all of us are responsible for those dollars. So thank you for the clarification. I do have a question about if the difference is only, did you say 4,000?
Yeah, just over 4,000.
Just over 4,000. Then do we get, I think Controller Tanya Letitia Charles answers this every year for me, do we get the GST that we pay on this back? And if we do, how much, or is there, if it's in percentage, what is that in this case?
So through the Chair, Green, the GST that we rebate that we will receive for 24-25 is $27,653. That's the GST rebate we will receive
Okay,
from the fees that we will pay for 24-25.
Through you, Chair, versus the 33,000 that we are paying, right? We'll get 26?
Yes. We don't get all of the GST back,
Right.
but majority of the
Well,
GST paid is get.
Yes,
get
through you, Chair, I think that the way Controller Letitia Charles explained that to me, it's the same way with schools.
Yes.
When schools claim back their GST, they don't get 100% of it back of the items that they do purchase and submit for. So, okay, we're getting better with the explanation. What I have issue with, frankly, is how OPSPA sent us an invoice without an explanation of where that increase would be, meaning what we get for that. And I would like, moving forward, Chair, through you, and I know OPSPA is a part of your portfolio, that OPSPA, when they send us an invoice, and we must be the second largest board that they invoice, at least, I don't know, I assume Toronto's part of that. What are you giving us for whatever increase you are indicating? And then we can decide as a board whether we want to buy that deal. But for this particular report, the way it was presented, raised too many questions, too many really important questions that we are under the eye, the public eye, and the ministry's eye for how we're going to handle expenditures. So I appreciate the clarification, but for me, it's all should have been in the report, and it should have been really easy and transparent. It wasn't, but let's be better moving forward. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you for that. Any other question? Trustee Davey.
Yes, hi. I just sitting on OPSPA last year. I have a feeling that there are additional costs associated with being a member of OPSPA, conferences, overnight stays, travel expenses, and stuff like that. I just think a report should reflect exactly how many dollars are not going to our students if we are a part of this. And I just like a more complete report. I know it's too late for this year because they've already done their budgeting. This is 12% of their operating. I get that. We put them in a real tough spot, but I just like to see a more thorough report with all the costs associated with OPSPA, not just the membership fee. It's kind of like having a car. Your car payment's $300, but you don't account for insurance, gas, maintenance. There are other costs associated with being an OPSPA member. And not all boards are OPSPA members. And we need all the numbers to make an important decision about it. Thank you.
Okay, so Trustee, whose hand went up first? Promoli, Trustee K. McDonald, and then I can make some clarification because I think some wrong assumption has been made around this table about funding and where the funding is coming from, where the funding is going. I think we need to educate, and maybe that's on me to educate my colleagues around OPSPA and the fees. So, Trustee Promoli.
Okay, well,
go ahead, Trustee.
Sorry, well, actually, I was going to do some education because there are some assumptions that are being made that I wanted to clarify. But if you're going to do it,
yes,
I will defer to you.
Okay, all right, thanks. So I see no others. So trustees, understand. Oh, Trustee Promoli, please go ahead.
Thank you. I'll be quick. I was just curious how our fees are determined because I assume that some of the smaller boards do not pay the same cost that we are expected to pay as a board because we are the second largest board in the country. We are at a point where we do have a declining enrollment here in Peel, and a number of the GTA boards are in the same position. So we do see that at this point our costs have gone up for this year, and I was curious about whether it's our student enrollment that is reflected within our costs for OPSPA or how that's calculated, and if that's been taken into account that we are seeing declining enrollment, or what that looks like.
So thank you for that. So one of the things that I personally would like to do tonight is to say to trustees, what I'm going to do, I'm going to provide you with a holistic report of where the money come from that pay the OPSPA fee. Because we think we're taking that money from the classroom. If we don't pay the fee, and Trustee Gill will confirm this, we don't pay the fee, the government don't give us that money. It's not money we're taking from students to pay the fee. This comes as part of our funding that we get from ministry to be part of Ontario School Board Association. Because of all the copyrights and the fees and the energy costs being part of OPSPR that we're saving. We're saving, this board is saving almost $3.5 million every year to be part of this. You pull us out there, that's money we're gonna have to find to balance our budget. So we need to think straight and think about what is best to us as a board and how we support this organization. So this organization, they're an advocacy board. They go forward. They fight for all the public school board across this province. When we came out of supervision, I was elected as chair. And believe you me, trying to navigate and working with the government, if it was not for OPSPR, the work that we have done and the support and the guidance that was provided to me and to connect me to talk to the right people, we would have not able to accomplish a lot of stuff we have accomplished. So I want my trustee colleague to be educated around OPSPR. OPSPR, one of the things that we did at the executive this year, we look at, okay, where and how we spend our money wisely. We said the hotel downtown that we are holding the meeting is causing too much. Okay, so what we have decided, we start experimenting. We are moving the meeting, like half of the meeting, closer to the airport, where the hotel and the meeting rooms are cheaper. So OPSPR is in the business of trying to find efficient ways and saving costs to make sure that we keep our fees steady. And yes, the larger school board normally pay more than the smaller school board. The smaller school board, yes, oftentimes do benefit more than the larger school board because they don't have money to pay for lawyers and have a big team that develop their policies and so forth, and guidance, templates, and so forth. So every time the ministry come out with a mandate and don't give us no guidance and provide nothing, OPSPR lawyers, they come and they develop those templates and share with board and say, here, use this as a guide so that you can continue doing the work that you do. So there is benefit, folks, around being part of that. And how do I know? You send me to OPSPR for the last 11 years, and out of that, 6 years of being the executive where I sit down, look at the budget. Once the budget come down each year, I will start giving it to Carla so Carla can send it to everybody. Okay? Huh? Yes. Go ahead. Trustee, I'm going to let Trustee Bailey and then Trustee McDonald.
Thank you, Chair Green. Through you, Chair Green. On top of what Chair Green is saying, every trustee has the opportunity to go to OPSPA meetings, to go to regionals. If you don't take the opportunity to learn, that's on you. Everyone has the opportunity. There's so many things, so many chances, so many. If you don't take it, that's on you. Don't say you didn't have the opportunity. Don't say there's nothing that you can get from it. You didn't take it. So OPSPA is there for you. The hundreds of thousands of dollars that the government puts into trustee learning is there for you. The budget, when we do it in February, there's a line there for all of our learning. Yes, we see that line. We built it. So don't say if we don't pay for it, then the students don't get it. No, it was there for us to do it. He's right. We built it. They gave it to us, not for the students, for trustees to do it, for OPSPA. So yeah, it was there. You all saw it. So stop it. Go ahead. Thank you.
Okay, Mama. Okay. Trustee K. McDonald, go ahead.
And I think there are other crucial points that was missing. So to respond to my colleague, Trustee Davies, with regards to the report, they have an actual very, very detailed annual report.
Right.
That breaks down every expense that they have. It's on their website. So you can just go on the OPSA website and you find out how all the dollars are spent. Also, they have, for example, with this new bill with regards to, say, meeting attendance and this happening, they are working, like you would not understand how hard they're working, advocating for, well, to get rid of it, but advocating for change, supporting even boards with how we should be amending bylaws, what we should be doing, that give us advice, certain things I wouldn't say out in public, how to handle things. They also have modules, which are very important. I think actually one of the things I would like to see that is mandated for all trustees, they have amazing modules that at least you should do it once. And I know I do it at least once every term. And I think they're amazing. They have the curriculum and policy. You have an opportunity to affect provincially and have input with the ministry regarding curriculum and policy. Also, we have the regional meetings. Again, it's a great networking and you learn. I know as a trustee, when I started my journey, it was actually a director, Martha, may she rest in peace, that guided me when I was, and taught me so much about policies and what should be happening at boards. And I think you learn from speaking with other directors, other trustees. So I think it's really a great, invaluable service that OPSPA is providing. And also I can tell you they have, and that's the last point I'd make, about the Black Trustee Caucus and the Indigenous Trustee Council. And they are, as a group, collectively, I'm actually the inaugural chair. I've been now chairing it for 2 years. And just the work that we're doing at the ministry level and with OPSPA across the province, addressing anti-Black racism in education and addressing the Truth and Reconciliation at the Indigenous Trustee Council. And again, anybody is welcome to the meetings there. So I think it's really, really valuable bang for your buck. Thank you.
And finally, and before I call it, trustees, okay, no, you can't speak again. Yep.
Even though I've been.
Yes, you can speak again, sir. You had your opportunity. The rules. Okay, so trustees, this is here for approval. So I'm going to call the vote at this time, and it's all those in favor of approving the fees as presented to us. All those in favor, raise your hands. Those who oppose, raise your hands. So Lucas, I didn't see you. He raised his hand, so that's 10-2.
Oh, no, sorry. Sorry, through you, Mr. Chairman. I raised my hand in favor.
Yes, yes. So approve. All right. Okay. Thank you very much to trustees. Appreciate your support, and we will continue the journey. We'll continue to work together. So needless to say, we will move on in our agenda. Put back on the spectacles. And we'll move down to 11.5, which is our equity accountability report. Director Sru.
Thank you, and through you, Chair Green, I will now ask Associate Director Harjeet Aujla to present the annual equity accountability report card for fall 2024.
Thank you very much, Director Swaroop, and through you, Chair Green. The Peel District School Board is deeply committed to interrupting and eliminating inequities in student achievement. To fulfill our commitment, as outlined in the multi-year strategic plan, we aim to promote discrimination-free learning environments that are identity-affirming and uphold Indigenous rights. Achieving this requires us to identify and address the systemic inequities that persist for students with specific and intersecting identities, particularly those who identify as Indigenous and/or African, Black, and Afro-Caribbean. In June 2023, the Board of Trustees approved the identity-based data collection policy. This policy enables the collection of identity-based data from PDSB students, parents, guardians, staff, both current and prospective, and trustees. Guided by the Anti-Racism Act and related legislation, the policy establishes principles for collecting, analyzing, and using this data responsibly. A cornerstone of this policy is transparent analysis and reporting, including the annual Equity Accountability Report Card, which examines disproportionalities in student outcomes and experiences using identity-based data. To provide an update on the annual Equity Accountability Report Card, I now invite Lynn Hollingshead, manager of the research team, to please share.
Thank you, Associate Director Ajla and Director Swaroop, and through you, Chair Green. Good evening. I am pleased to present the 4th Annual Equity Accountability Report Card, which examines trends in equity gaps in student outcomes from 2019-20 to 2023-24. As Associate Director Ajla mentioned, this report provides insights into the disproportionate experiences of Peel District School Board students over the past 5 school years, aligning with the Anti-Racism Directorate data standards requirements. This report organizes data around the ministry's Student Achievement Plan priorities with data disaggregated by 8 identity factors: Indigenous and racial identities, gender identities, sexual orientation, economic inequities, individual education plan status, and English language learner status. This alignment reflects the multi-year strategic plan's commitment to promoting equity and inclusion. While this report focuses on student outcomes, it does not include measures related to community engagement, as these fall outside its scope. The report card organizes the outcome indicators according to the ministry's 3 Student Achievement Plan priority areas. Under Achievement of Learning Outcomes in Core Academic Student Achievement Skills, we provide EQAO, Ontario Secondary School Literacy Test, or OSSLT, and Grade 9 and 10 Literacy and Numeracy Outcomes. Under Preparation of Students for Future Success, we provide outcomes related to special education designations, credit accumulation, access to senior English courses, access to senior math and science courses, job skills, regional learning choice programs, and French instruction. And within student engagement and well-being, we provide persistent absenteeism and student discipline. Although analyses by religion were conducted, the results were better explained by intersecting identities such as special education designations or racial identity. Therefore, disaggregated outcomes by religion are not included in this report. The Peel District School Board remains committed to addressing the disproportionalities highlighted in this report and sustaining efforts to promote equity and inclusion. Encouragingly, we are seeing emerging positive trends in this year's report. For example, there are reductions in disproportionate outcomes in EQAO Grade 3 reading, writing, and mathematics for African, Black, and Afro-Caribbean students. Additionally, we see decreases in disproportionate outcomes in a number of measures, including EQAO Grade 3 for Indigenous students. These positive trends indicate that our initiatives are making meaningful differences. Please see this board report for additional positive trends. Educational reform, particularly in the context of equity work, is complex and requires sustained time, commitment, and professional development to address systemic issues. Transformation relies on building a supportive and informed community of educators, leaders, and partners. While early wins such as these emerging trends are encouraging, they highlight the importance of maintaining focus and momentum for long-term impact. Our next step as a research team is to ensure that the report is made widely available to staff and community partners. We will work with staff to help them interpret the data and use it to inform their practices. Collaboration will continue with system departments to use these insights in developing and implementing plans that support system priorities. We will also support schools in leveraging these data for their school improvement and equity planning. I submit this report with gratitude and welcome any questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Trustee Promoli and Trustee Clark is putting them on the floor for me. Trustee Promoli, go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. First, thank you so much to Lynn and to your whole team. I know this was a very tall order to put all this work together, and reading through this was just an incredible lens into all of our incredible students that we have in this board. So thank you, because I know that this must have just been mountains and mountains of work, and it was incredibly informative, and I'm sure I can speak for everyone at the table, but I won't speak for other people, but how grateful I was to have this insight. So thank you so much, and please know how appreciated it is. I wanted to note, I know that Superintendent Sakato is not here tonight, but I was very grateful to her for taking some time to talk with me ahead of time about some of the special education impacts that came out of this too. So I just wanted to, highlight that I really appreciated her help there too. But I did have a question through you, Chair. And what I'm curious about is, and for you, AD Ajla, what are the factors that are within our control to help narrow the gap as a board? And what upstream factors are beyond our control? And what are the supports that we should be advocating to other levels of government for support for to help improve outcomes for students? Because we're seeing a lot of great improvements here. We're seeing a lot of work happening. But what is within our control as a board? What more can we do to support you there? But what else could we be looking outside for also that we could be advocating for?
Thank you for that question, Trustee Promoli. Through you, Chair Green. Yes. In terms of factors within our control here within the Peel District School Board, I think we have many amazing factors that are contributing to the outcomes that we're seeing today. Not only our multi-year strategic plan that is guiding our work for the next 4 years focused on student achievement, safety and well-being, equity and inclusion, community engagement. We also have various policies that really guide effective instruction and practice that is equitable and inclusive in our classrooms, such as Policy 51, our Human Rights Policy, Policy 54, our Equity and Inclusive Education Policy, and Policy 48, our Safe Schools Policy, all really govern and establish healthy learning environments for students. Many of our superintendents here today could speak to the exceptional programming that takes place within schools, programming that establishes high expectations for all students, culturally responsive and relevant programming, as well as various extracurricular programming, including our Counting on You programming, our OFIP, which is our Ontario-focused intervention programming. We also have various plans and strategies that have been supported by our Board of Trustees, such as our Black Student Success Strategy, our Affirming Muslim Students' Identity, the Empowering Modern Learning Vision document that guides and really supports effective practice, the partnerships that we continue to build within the organization, such as our middle school to med school partnership with TMU, our See at UTM program, our Algoma Leap program, various programs that provide students with opportunities to not only be exposed to a university setting, gain credits towards their OSSD, as well as be able to gain some credits in university. We also have various Google certifications. There's so much that we could speak to internally as an organization. In terms of factors outside, there are various factors outside beyond the scope of the board. Recently I was in a meeting and a conversation with community partners, local community partners in Brampton that were asking for support, advocacy around community centers, around the development of community centers in neighborhoods that are quickly growing, new neighborhood areas where students and families don't necessarily have access to resources outside of school hours. I was just in conversation with Superintendent Shabaro about how more early on centers could really benefit our youngest students coming into our system to really be ready and prepared. So there are some aspects there that could really benefit, some advocacy for sure, but we are really proud of the internal factors that continue to help drive and leverage positive student change. Thank you.
You have a follow-up?
I do, yes. Thank you so much.
Go ahead.
That was very helpful. Thank you. When I was speaking with Superintendent Zucato, I did understand that we could maybe use some more support when it comes to special education. And is there anything that you would, I know she's unable to be here tonight, but is there anything that you'd be able to shed some light on there? Maybe, how is our funding providing for our students at this point, and how do we compare to other district school boards? Is that something that we have? Do we have that information available?
So I believe Superintendent Zucato is online with us tonight.
Oh.
So I think she's able to join. If I could please ask Superintendent Zucato to, if you're there.
Yes, thank you, Associate Director Agilin, through you, Chair Green. Thank you, Trustee Promoli, for the conversation today. As always, we continue to do our best to serve students with exceptionalities in the Peel District School Board. We've done a great job, and with the support of the trustees and the director's office, at making sure that needs are being met, but we continue to advocate beyond, because the complexity of students that now are entering our schools is something that is a challenge not only for the Peel District School Board but across the province. So we continue to work with the ministry to ensure that they understand the complexities of students we serve. We provide data on an ongoing basis to the ministry to ensure that they deeply understand that we require more funding to serve students in the best way possible. So that is advocacy that we know that the Board of Trustees has thankfully taken up. We have 3 very dedicated trustees on our CAC committee who continually advocate for support in that area. But I will say very proudly that the work that's being done both in schools and through the field superintendents and in departments and across interdepartments really does focus on making sure we're building capacity at the Tier 1 and Tier 2 level so that all students are getting the support that they need.
Thank you so much, Superintendent. I really appreciate that. Okay, great. Thank you so much, Chair.
Okay, no worries. Trustee Clark.
Yeah, there we go. Every time. Okay, thank you, Chair. Thank you for this great report here. I just have a couple questions. Looking at it, first of all, I'm glad to see that Indigenous people are on all of the lists for all the regions of improvement. However, I noticed that there are some who are not. So my first question is, so does that imply that if each group is not on one of these outcome measures, like, for example, grade 6 math and grade 9 math, it does not have African, Black, and Afro-Caribbean people on it. So in terms of groups that are not seeing improvement, so does that mean that they aren't seeing the improvement if they aren't on each one of these outcome measures?
Go ahead.
Through you, Chair. Thank you for the question. It's a good question. It helped to explain some of the graphs for you. I know it's there's a lot in here. So the list, though, you would really need to go and look at the graph to look at the long-term trend. The 2 examples you gave are very likely is true that African, Black, and Afro-Caribbean students are not faring well. But just because they're not on, or a group is not on the list, doesn't mean that they aren't improving. They may not have had a problem previously. So that's what I'm saying. First, start to look at the chart to see whether the graph is going down and or is above the dotted line. So that's one piece, is that we want to look at that dotted line, that horizontal dotted line, to see if the bar is well above that dotted line. And most of the measures, that means that there's a disproportionate outcome, that they're overrepresented in not being successful in something. So so that's part 1, and then 2 is if they were on the list or not on the list. So if there was a concern in the first place, then we'd like to see them on the list. So in the example that you gave, there is a concern, so we have work to do. Sorry, I'm not talking to the mic. Did everybody hear me?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Do you have a follow-up, Trustee Clark?
Yes, thank you so much, and through you, Chair. So would it be possible, and I really hate adding work, because I know what it's like when people add work to my schedule, but could we have a list of the ones where we are not seeing?
So, Trustee Clark, you can't, you're a single trustee, you cannot direct staff.
Oh, okay.
That has to go through the director's office to do
My
that.
apologies. Okay.
Any follow-up? Any other question? I'm seeing none. You have a question, Trustee McDonald? Go ahead.
Thank you. So I have a couple questions. I'll just start with that question with the EQO grade 9 math. So I was just wondering what is happening in terms of how we make ensuring that we're supporting Black students to achieve in math, considering that, you know, in the past, and I'm hoping that it is not still going on, where we had staff members who say they didn't want Black students in math clubs, things like that. And also, now that you have Black students are excluded from their list, how do we ensure that we don't have other people that believe that when Black kids are in math programs or are in the sci-tech programs, that they are not diminishing the program? Because it's very important for that also, because we do have extremely high achieving Black students within the board. That's the first question. Thank you.
Trustee Ajala.
Thank you very much for that question, Trustee McDonald, through you, Chair Green. I will open and then turn things over to Superintendent Shabaro to explain our revisioning around math instruction. I think the board is currently undertaking many processes to really look at the instruction and the delivery of math, K to 12. We're really looking at ways in which math makes sense and brings meaning and is delivered, at its, in a very high fidelity way. We want to ensure that the educators that are in front of our students have strong competency and understanding of the best ways to engage. And we really want to also ensure that students are provided with a math program that makes sense to them, that is culturally responsive and relevant. We are closely examining the data and the trends as it pertains to demographic data for students, especially Black and Indigenous students. So we are noticing some positive trends that we've identified through our EQAO data. We know that there's significant amounts of work still ahead of us. And I will ask Superintendent Shabaro if she'd like to provide some insight in terms of what that work looks like.
Thank you.
Thank you, Associate Director Ajala, and through you, Chair Green. We continue to be dedicated in our commitments to professional learning and systemic changes, which is essential to ensuring that we continue our work around addressing disproportionalities, specifically for our Black students and math programs. The Ministry of Education has recently provided us with the grade 9 D-Stream math program curriculum, and our teachers have been receiving significant professional learning around that process. We've also built in course packs, professional learning for our educators, and we continue to work through our superintendents in the field around addressing disproportionalities and having data-driven conversations around professional learning and math classrooms through walkthroughs that are conducted throughout the year. With that, we are very optimistic about the results. We are seeing a reduction in the disproportionalities around EQAO outcomes. In terms of grade 9 EQAO scores, they are seeing a trend upwards, which is something that makes us hopeful. We stay the course, we continue the work, we continue monitoring, and we are offering additional courses for our students through night programming, summer programming, COI with specific math foci, and the work continues. We're not letting this go.
Thank you. And how do you treat a follow-up to that is, through your chair, is how do you teach heart, meaning that to ensure that all those educators teaching our students math believe in the ability of our students to excel in math and ensure that they're getting all the supports that they need?
Thank you for that question, Trustee McDonald, and through you, Chair Green. It is very important to work at understanding our equity mindsets as well as our cultural responsive pedagogy when addressing students who identify as Black, as well as our Indigenous students, as well as our students who are from equity deserving communities. The work that we do is always centered on anti-oppressive practices within an anti-racist framework. Our equity strategies center student identity in the work. Our educators are constantly engaging through the 3 priority areas from the Ministry of Education. It is one of the commitments that we have made as well as a board around delivering curriculum to high fidelity, ensuring that our instructional core is to high standards and maintaining high standards for our students. But at the center of all of this work is truly understanding our students, knowing who our learners are in our care, understanding their voices, community, meeting with families and in community partners to ensure that we maximize the work that we do, leading with our heart in centering students and in terms of math work.
Thank you for that. So where are we with the Black Student Success Strategy, and who is implementing, and where is the evaluation of the recommendations of that report? Through you, Chair.
So I'm going to turn that one to answer AD Logan to answer that question.
Through you, Chair, and thank you for the question, Trustee McDonald. And the work with the Black Student Success Strategy continues. It is a primacy in all of the work that we do. As an example, there's expectations with regards to it being integrated into work plans of our central department teams to ensure that it is integrated throughout all elements, in addition to our school improvement equity planning work to ensure that it is also reflected in the school improvement plans and connected to the goals on sense of belonging and so forth. So it is continuing with that work, and that's where we had an opportunity to see some of the growth that was evident in our grade 3 UQAO outcomes, seeing that we are having gap closing in our reading, writing, and math for EQAO. So the work is making improvements.
Thank you for that. And,
thank you for the question.
I just want to raise a part of the community piece, because I know that I've been hearing that a significant portion of the Black community, especially those that were instrumental in the board being placed under supervision, feel that things like they're being ignored and they're not, the board is not engaging with them. And it appears that like the community engagement office is not willing to meet with them, and I'm reading a concern of community members and their research.
Trustee McDonald, I'm gonna have to stop you there. Unless you have in writing that person I've shared with you in writing to this board.
They have, it's on my
okay.
phone.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
you should have sent that to me ahead of time. So
Excuse
that
me, why do I have to send you somebody's comment to me?
if you are gonna talk about somebody at the board table at the meeting, you need to get approval to talk about that individual.
Excuse me, I did not name an individual person.
Okay.
When you're speaking about the library, for example, and people, I remember other trustees were given the latitude to speak about their community concerns. I represent a community and bring in their concerns. I did not name one individual.
Okay. So
could you explain the difference? Why when people were raising issues like, for example, the library, culling, they were allowed to speak about their community concerns, but I am not allowed to speak about my community concerns.
Trustee McDonald, I'm not going to argue with you. I didn't say you can't speak about your community concern. You can raise your concern. You can speak about your concern. But the thing is, what happened is that we have to be mindful. You are about to read something and you said someone from the community has given you this information. So if somebody has given you me, do they tell you or authorize you to speak on their behalf of the board? That's what I'm asking. It's a question. It's clear.
Yes, I didn't name a name.
Okay.
I'm raising a community concern. It's not one individual, it's individuals,
so
plural.
that's not what you had said before, but
I
if
named a person? Did I say
no, you
somebody's name?
said someone gave you information you were about to rise that. So what I want to make sure,
Somebody did.
what I want to make sure that what you're speaking to is not something that basically you did not have authorization to speak about. Raise your concerns, speak about your concern, but in terms of speaking on somebody else's behalf, we have to be mindful, we have to be careful as a board that we get authorization to do so, and that's what I want to be clear on. Okay?
I got authorizations by being elected by the people
No,
in Wards 3 and 4.
we
I
have
did not
policy-
mention anybody's name.
We have policies and procedures, and
Is there
I
a
want...
policy under the
and-
Education Act that
I'm
you
not going to
cannot
argue
speak?
with you, Trustee McDonald. I'm going to call point of order. I'm not going to argue with you. I'm saying to you, speak, but do not bring anybody that you did not have authorization to speak about that person or on that person's behalf, okay? But speak, raise your concern. That's what I'm trying to tell you. It is, as a board, we want to make sure that whatever we do it in a professional way, and we follow the rules that are set out by the board. Okay? We set the rule, and I'm not going to argue with you. I'm not going to debate. I'm not debating. I'm saying to you,
I don't understand what I'm doing wrong. So I'm asking for clarification.
and I clarify myself.
I still don't understand how what I was
Okay,
saying
let me
contravenes.
let me speak to you again.
Mhm.
Trustee McDonald, you are allowed to speak, raise your concern, share your concern. However, if you're going to speak on behalf of somebody asked you to raise, do you have authorization to do so? And then when I asked you that question, you say you do. You have it in your phone. Okay, and I said to you, you should have sent that and share that we know that you have authorization to speak on that person's behalf. It is clear. And I'm saying to you, as a trustee, you have a right to speak and raise concern about your community that you're representative. Just let us do it in the way it is set out as a board for us to do it. And that's all I'm asking. There's
Okay.
no debate about it.
Thank you. So for my understanding, so if a community member comes to me with a concern, I have to go through you, Chair, and get permission from you or send the community's person to you so you can authorize me to speak.
You are
on my-
missuing my direction.
Well, I don't understand what I did
What I'm
wrong.
saying to you, to speak on somebody's behalf, Trustee McDonald, you need to get approval from the person to speak in public about that person or on that person's behalf, to make it clear so you don't put this board in any way, shape, or form that raise concern. Okay, that's what I'm saying to you. I said, go ahead and speak. Speak as a trustee, speak about your community. It is important that every trustee voice their opinion and have an open dialogue with our colleagues across the table to share our concern. But I just want to make sure that we are not speaking on behalf of somebody without that person or individual permission. That's what I'm trying to tell you. And the same thing I raise inside with other trustees, every trustees, and I've said this more than once, we have to be mindful, we have to be careful as trustees how we bring things to the board table. Go ahead and share your concern.
So like I said, community members have come to me with their concerns. And one of the concerns is that before a group of Black serving community agencies and advocates were at an impasse with the board regarding the naming of the Center of Black Excellence. They expressed concern that the board is weaponizing new partnerships and new folks are being used to divide the community. They cite a lack of outreach, for example, for the Director's 360 evaluation, a lack of communication with community, especially given the fact that one of the directives is focused on rebuilding trust in the Black community. So my question to you is, based on the concerns that I just raised, how is the board going to address these concerns?
Director Logan, you want to answer that?
Through you, Chair, and thank you for the question, Trustee McDonald. And I would say that ensuring that we have relationships with our families and community is of an utmost importance. And we know that it is a significant element on our multi-year strategic plan, which it is goal 4, and also part of our community engagement plan as well, our community outreach plan, which was passed in August of 2023 with a significant focus on Black families. And so that is a concern, and would like to understand more of that, and perhaps there's an opportunity to discuss that further. But what I would like to highlight, though, is that we have been engaging with a number of Black families through their school communities. We have over 20 Black parented associations in our school communities, and some of them are directly within the school itself, or some within the family of schools. We've engaging in a number of large-scale events that are organized through those various community organizations. We also have relationships with our school family advocates, which, I know that you're aware, that we have our school family advocates, which are connected to the ministry, which have all been identified. There are 5 that are connected with the school board, and we're actually engaging in deeper relationships with them in the future, as we also look to the work that's specific to the Center of Black Excellence. So we continue to grow, we continue to improve our efforts, and that is why that's a significant goal in our multi-year strategic plan and also part of our community outreach plan.
Thank you for that. And through you, Chair, another concern that was raised is the report does not speak in depth about declining enrollment, because a lot of Black families are leaving the board and citing anti-Black racism as an issue. So I'm just wondering if that has been noted, and how are we addressing those concerns? Through you, Chair.
So that is not a question that I'm going to put staff on the floor to answer today. What I will do is that I will ask staff, Trustee McDonald, that you take that off the here, and then you have a discussion with one of the associate director, maybe the associate director Logan or Ajala, to address that question. I'm not going to put staff on the floor to answer that question.
Through you, Chair, how are students, AD Ajala mentioned that they have a middle school to med school program. How are students being selected for this opportunity?
Thank you very much, Trustee McDonald, and through you, Chair Green. I will ask Superintendent Leone if she would like to talk a little bit about that program.
Thank you for the question, Trustee McDonald, through you, Chair. We have partnered with TMU School of Medicine. It is a 3-year partnership that began last year with a commitment to expose, engage, and have students experience information about what it means to enter a field in healthcare. There are currently over 90 professions that have been spoken to about students. To answer your question, TMU School of Medicine has a direct goal to engage students in the Bramalea areas of schools. So they have provided a jurisdictional scan of schools that they would like to engage with, and we began with that process, honoring the schools that they are selecting to engage in their geographical region. Because year 3 of the program, when the school opens next September, would allow students to visit and be part of the School of Medicine from an exposure perspective. So it began with having a geographical view from their perspective of which schools they would like to engage in, which are in the vicinity of their new School of Medicine. And so we identified those top schools. We, in this year, will have served over 1,000 students who from probably 14 schools. Tomorrow, we're at the Indigenous Center with 6 schools who will be participating on a panel with Dr. Trudy McFarland and Dr. Jamaica Cass, a Black and Indigenous medical doctors from School of Medicine, engaging. Our launch last year was over 300 students. Tomorrow we're expecting over 100. And we have 2 additional speaking series. And in May, we have a culminating event here at CBO, which will engage close to 1,000 students from probably 13 to 14 high schools. I would say K to 12 schools.
Okay, thank you. And how do you ensure that there's a diverse group of students, including Black students, that are participating in this program?
So the focus is Black, Indigenous, and equity deserving students who participate in the program. We also work with school teams and principals and vice principals on that selection process. And we work with the school teams who understand their students, and especially with guidance counselors who know kids in high schools who have expressed an interest in pathways in health sciences, for instance. The launch, I would say, had over 80% Black and Indigenous students who participated, and tomorrow as well.
Thank you for that. And my final question is with regards to why is it that in this annual Equity Accountability Report Card, information such as the Social Vulnerability Index, I think we're now using a different term, so forgive me, it escapes me at the moment, is no longer available to the public and requires a motion to be obtained? Because in the past, it was information that, and in doing an environmental scan with other boards, this is information that's available to the public.
Go ahead.
Through you, Chair. Thank you for that question. Last year, the research team reviewed the Socioeconomic Vulnerability Index, or SVI, of 2017 and its methodology, that is, how it was calculated. We determined that it no longer met the needs of PDSB. During consultations, participants emphasized the importance of avoiding stigmatizing labels for schools, such as Cluster 6 schools, that could further marginalize communities. They also expressed concern that a single school measure, such as the cluster, hid information about pockets of poverty or low income that then impacted decision-making. In our review, we identified core requirements for a replacement measure. It needed the capacity to highlight barriers to student success arising from economic circumstances by providing, one, a student-level variable for research reporting to help PDSB monitor progress toward a fairer and more equitable system, and two, a set of school-level variables that enable central PDSB staff to make informed decisions about resource allocation and targeted initiatives. The new measures of economic inequality, the replacement measure, was made available to PDSB leadership this fall. So far, the school-level measures, along with other relevant measures, has been used to help identify schools that will receive additional supports, such as OFIP tutoring funding and literacy coaches. And the student-level measure was used as one identity factor throughout this year's Equity Accountability Report Card. In order to prevent stigmatization of schools, the measures of economic inequality, school-level measures, will not be published at this time.
Thank you for your explanation.
Trustee Alves, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through you, I have a question, but I just wanted to follow up on that last point. While the data for the economic SVI index might not be published, I was wondering if trustees would have the ability to review that data. Would that be possible, Mr. Chairman?
That's something that we as a board would need to discuss and then speak with the director around that piece.
Okay, and how would we do that, sir?
So one of the things that I could do based on your question you're asking, I can take that back, have a discussion with the director, then I can come back to you. And if you feel that, because see, one of the things that I've been trustee of is that oftentimes we have to ensure that the questions we're asking and what we want to do is that every trustee wants to able to have that information. When it's an individual trustee, we want you to go to the right person, the right department to get that answer. Because it's make no sense that we are asking for this and the rest of trustees are not interested in it because it may not impact their community. So we have to, I will take that and I will have a discussion with the director and then we'll figure out who to put you on to have that discussion.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think that works. I look forward to hearing back from you. What I really wanted to comment, I wanted to shout out Associate Director Ajla him and his team and the staff at the PDSB that have put together a wonderful report. Folks may remember that I had some questions the last time we received a similar report, specifically relating to the Latinx and Hispanic community and some of their performance. And I was really excited to read that this community, amongst many others, have also seen what looks to be like an upward trend when it comes to specifically mathematic improvement and literacy outcomes. And I was excited to see that. So just a shout out and a round of applause. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any more questions? Trustee Cameron.
Thank you. Not a question. I just want to say thank you to Lynn Hollingshead. Having followed your work for years, I know how thorough you are, how detailed you are, what an expert researcher you are, and what an amazing leader you are. So while we're applauding, we ought to make sure that we include Lynn and her team. I always appreciate your work. I have questions from the report, not for here, but these are the questions that I'm going to send to you directly, and we can have that discussion so I can get clarification. But I admire you and your work, and thank you, Lynn.
Thank you. Thank you for that, Trustee Cameron and IABOX trustees. That's the best thing to do. We want to make sure that we're doing things in a professional way when we're at the table, is that when we have questions, especially a lot of questions, we connect with the superintendent that is in charge of that area, have that question, and if we're not satisfied, and if we are going to be asking questions that we want the public to know about, then we give staff the heads up. So staff come prepared to answer that question, that we're not getting staff off the chart and just want staff to answer those questions. I'm going to ask again publicly that we follow this process so that we as a board can act professionally and responsibly. Okay, thank you. All those in favor of the report? Thank you. And just one thing before I move on to the next items, around some questions asked. There's a lot of stuff a lot of outreach being done to the Black community. Schools are doing so much because I have been out there speaking at these events, and even to the point where schools that are not doing well is now going to replicate in superintendency of school to make sure that everybody is on board. So there is work being done. And whether you believe it or not, we've been applauded by the ministry for the outreach that we have been doing in the Black community and Indigenous community. Just want to put that out there. Thank you very much. Thank you all for your work. Amazing work. Staff, continue to do your work. You're doing amazing work. We're proud to have a team like you at this board, helping us to drive the change that we need for all of our students. Thank you. Okay, Director.
Thank you, and through you, Chair Green. Next report, I will be asking Associate Director Harjeet Aujla to present on the multi-year strategic plan progress 3.2.
Thank you very much, Director Swaroop, and through you, Chair Green. I will now introduce the multi-year strategic plan report on the Peel District School Board We Welcome the World Reception Centers. PDSB has 3 welcome centers, one in Brampton, one in Malton, and one in Mississauga. Annually, the We Welcome the World Centers serve over 11,000 students and 15,000 family members, assisting them in their transition to the Canadian education system and supporting them in settling into the Peel region. I will now ask Superintendent of Innovation and International Programs, Bernadette Smith, to please introduce the multi-year strategic plan report on the reception centers.
Thank you, Associate Director Aujla, and through you, Chair Green. I'm joined today by Coordinating Principal for the Peel District School Board We Welcome the World Centers, Heike Bronson. The Welcome Centers offer multilingual support through youth-informed care, culturally responsive registration, and school integration processes, ensuring a strong start for newcomers. Staff include settlement workers, resource teachers, site supervisors, guidance counselor, and administrative assistants who tailor services to each newcomer's need. The commitment of staff at the centers is directly aligned with the PDSB multi-year strategic plan, Goal 3, Equity and Inclusion, and Goal 4, Community Engagement. By fostering identity-affirming spaces and engaging families, we work to dismantle systemic barriers, build trust, and offer a supportive network for all students. Open year-round, the centers partner with local agencies, more specifically, the Multicultural Settlement Education Partnership, which is known as MSEP, who connect families with resources including education, employment, housing, healthcare, multilingual assistance, and computer access. A parent noted, "The support helped me and my child feel comfortable and ready to succeed." Newcomers from more than 40 countries demonstrate the diverse cultures and multi-language groups supported by the centers, with the majority being from India. This school year alone, over 4,500 newcomers have been assisted, with 800 families directed to essential services and 1,000 education-specific referrals. Consistent positive feedback underscores the center's vital role. One student remarked, "Meeting others with similar experiences to mine made me feel stronger. Now I have friends, goals, and support." We invite you to view the accompanying video to experience firsthand how our welcome centers foster inclusive and affirming environments for newcomer families through this vital work of creating equity-driven, engaged communities.
Logo. Reception is the process for welcoming families to the Peel District School Board, with a focus on building positive and caring relationships. We aim to create an environment where families feel confident to share information and ask questions. Families are invited to contact the Welcome Center. We look forward to assisting you in ensuring a smooth transition into our community.
Phone calls will be answered by the receptionist, who will provide information about the registration process. Book registration appointments at the Welcome Centers. Provide information about the online portal PowerSchool Enrollment. Upon arrival at the Welcome Center, families will sign in and present the original required documents to office assistants, who are trained to verify and create the Ontario student record for transfer to the designated school. Each center also has a site supervisor with specialized training in registration and verifying immigration documents. The next step in the registration process is an introductory interview for the family with the settlement worker and the teacher. The purpose of the introductory interview is to gather important information about the student's educational and family background. During this time, our multilingual settlement worker will also offer language support for families.
After the introductory interview, students will go with the teacher to engage in the assessment for programming, while parents stay with the settlement worker for further discussion.
In the classroom, the student works with the teacher to demonstrate literacy and numeracy skills. Teachers, qualified in ESL, prepare a detailed report for the designated school to guide appropriate programming. The report is based on conversations, observations during tasks, and a review of the student's written work.
Following the assessment, the teacher will review the student's learning profile with the parents and settlement worker. At this time, recommendations for literacy and numeracy placements and support will be discussed.
Settlement workers conduct settlement needs assessments to support families in transitioning smoothly into the community and helping their child integrate into the school system. Families are encouraged to use this time to ask questions and learn about community programs.
Families are asked to complete the Multicultural Settlement Education Partnership MSEP form so that ongoing free support from settlement workers can be provided to support the settlement process for the next many years.
Once the family is registered, families should receive a call to attend the designated school.
Transitioning to a new education system can be challenging for newcomer families. School staff can arrange these meetings through the MSEP facilitator or coordinating principal, ensuring every family receives the support they need.
At the Welcome Centers, we collaborate with 5 community agencies through the Multicultural Settlement Education Partnership, MSEP, funded by Immigration, Refugee, Citizenship Canada. Our dedicated team, including the MSEP facilitator, MSEP assistant, and coordinating principal. Work diligently to coordinate these partnerships. These partnerships enable us to assign settlement workers to over 165 schools in the PDSB. These dedicated workers connect newcomer families with local settlement agencies, offering free services on topics like employment, financial support, and health services. At the Welcome Center, we are committed to creating an inclusive and affirming environment that recognizes and supports intersecting identities. Our goal is to foster a sense of belonging for every family, ensuring their journey into schools of the Peel District School Board is welcoming and supportive.
Steve Bailey, putting those on the floor for me. All right. Question, concern? See none. All those in favor of the report? Carries. Thank you. Back to you, Director.
Through you, Chair Green, I would now ask
What's going on?
Associate Director Camille Logan to present the multi-year strategic plan progress report on Indigenous Education Team and the Monji Ding Wingushkeng Center for Indigenous Excellence and Land-Based Learning.
Thank you, Director Swaroop, and through you, Chair. The purpose of this report is to provide an update on the deep work in Indigenous education in the PDSB, and specifically our commitment to upholding the rights of Indigenous peoples across all areas of the curriculum. This is a timely report given the tragic loss of the Honorable Murray Sinclair, the former senator, judge, and chair of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, who is well known for his quote, "Education has gotten us into this mess, and education will get us out." The quote so aptly reminds us that education is a critical element toward the achievement of truth and reconciliation. The board report before you this evening highlights some of the rich educational and cultural opportunities provided for First Nation, Métis, and Inuit students by the Indigenous Education Team and is organized to align with the strategic focus areas for the 4-year multi-year strategic plan, goals, and actions. I will now call upon Althea Grant, Superintendent, Equity, Indigenous Education, Community Engagement, to provide an overview of the report.
Thank you, Director Swaroop, Associate Director Dr. Logan, and through you, Chair Green. Joining me is Nicole Reynolds, Coordinating Vice Principal of Indigenous Education. I'm pleased to present the Multi-Year Strategic Plan 3.3 report that focuses on the excellent work of the Indigenous Education Team at the Marjanding Wingushkeng Center for Indigenous Excellence and Land-Based Learning, as we work in solidarity to uphold Indigenous rights in the Peel District School Board. You will be delighted to know that all of the programs at the center are rooted in Indigenous ways of knowing, doing, and being. The Credit Support Program was launched on November 1st, 2024 to provide a culturally safe environment where Indigenous students can recover incomplete credits and make progress towards earning their Ontario Secondary Schools diploma. Students attend the program in person on Fridays and receive customized support that fosters meaningful cultural connections. The Indigenous Student Advisory Program provides critical support to promote the safety and well-being of First Nations, Métis, and Inuit students across the Peel District School Board. Through regular visits with students in schools, advisors cultivate a strong sense of Indigenous identity and pride, provide cultural mentorship, connections to elders and knowledge keepers, and access to traditional medicines and practices like smudging. As we work towards reclamation, resurgence, and revitalization, 4 Indigenous coaches on the Indigenous Education Team completed the first cycle of the Focus School program, where they provided capacity building professional learning to 4 lead educators per school to implement and action the principles of education for reconciliation through a student-centered, rights-based approach. Schools engaged this program co-constructed measurable outcomes that demonstrated system transformation in upholding the United Nations declarations on the rights of Indigenous peoples and the Truth and Reconciliation's calls to action 62 and 63. In partnership with the Dufferin Peel Catholic District School Board, on October 4th and 5th, we hosted the Teepees and Telescopes. This event welcomed Indigenous students and families to Silver Creek Conservation Area to learn from various community partners from across the world, including New Zealand. This event centered our priority to provide access to traditional teachings, as well as a space for non-Indigenous community to learn about Indigenous knowledge systems by highlighting teachings from Anishinaabe, Cree, Odishanwe, Mori, and Nigerian ways of knowing, doing, and being in solidarity. In the report, you will also see, the more detailed report, you will also see success indicators, and I'd like to highlight that we've increased the number of Indigenous students who have self-identified from 300 to 952. There's an increase in participation of Indigenous parents in education, increase in graduation rates of Indigenous students, and improvement in Indigenous students' well-being. This concludes the report, and Nicole and I will be happy to take any questions.
It's putting on the floor for me. Question, concern? See none. All those in favor of the report? Oh, go ahead. Trustee McDonald.
Thank you. Through you, Chair. I just want to thank you, Nicole Reynolds and Althea Grant and Camille Logan for this report. It's really exciting to see all the amazing things that's coming out of this center. Yeah, and keep up the good work. Thank you.
Through you, Chair. Thank you, Trustee McDonald.
Okay. Yes, go ahead, Trustee Clark.
Thank you so much. Through you, Chair. This is kind of one of the things I was hoping for, to see more as we move forward, because, it is very exciting. And you mentioned Nigerian. Which groups, cultural groups are we talking? Yoruba or Ashanti or Laife or something? Thank you.
So thank you for that question, Trustee Clark, and through you, Chair. And I do want to say the work that we're doing at the Monjading and the Center for Black Excellence is in solidarity. And so that was the whole purpose of also bringing a Nigerian knowledge keeper as well. And I will defer to Nicole to get into the details of your question.
Thank you, Trustee Clark. I will have to take that back to what specific Nigerian ways of knowing that were offered at the Teepees and Telescopes. I do know that the presenter was a professor from the University of Toronto that had a very strong relationship and partnership with the knowledge keeper, Wilfred Buck, who hosted the event. So I can reach out to him to get more detailed information of that offering.
Yes, thank you so much. Nigeria is a country, right? It's made up of many different kingdoms and nations and cultures. I appreciate that. Small steps, right? But as long as we keep taking those steps together, okay? Thank you.
I see no other. All those in favor of the report? Carries. Thank you. Okay. 11.8.
Yes, and through you, Chair Green, I will now pass it over to Associate Director Paul De Silva to bring in the multi-year strategic plan and action report.
Great, thank you, Director Swaroop, and through you, Chair Green. The multi-year strategic plan, MYSP, developed in collaboration with the Board of Trustees and staff, serves as our guiding framework for advancing the Peel District School Board. Its core goals, student achievement, safety and well-being, equity and inclusion, and community engagement are infused into the fabric of all of our schools, ensuring that every student benefits from an exceptional educational experience. While we recognize the incredible efforts already taking place across many of our schools, we want to take a few moments at each board meeting to highlight initiatives directly aligned with our MYSP from one of our 13 field superintendents monthly. These snapshots offer a glimpse of the impactful work being done by our dedicated educators and outstanding students as we continue to make strides toward our shared vision. I'll now pass it over to Superintendent Craig Kaslik to report on his schools in Area 2.
Good evening. My name is Craig Kaslik. I am the Superintendent of Education for Area 2 Mississauga that includes 26 schools in the areas of the Woodlands, TL Kennedy, and Port Credit. And through you, Chair Green, I'm very excited to have the opportunity to share with the Board of Trustees the incredible teaching and learning that is happening in Peel District School Board classrooms. This teaching and learning is closely tied to the multi-year strategic plan, and I will in particular be highlighting student achievement, improving core academic skills, and preparing for future success. However, I'll also be referencing important connections to the goals of equity and inclusion and community engagement. Since the release of the Right to Read report by the Ontario Human Rights Commission in February of 2022, and the subsequent release of the revised Ontario literacy curriculum in September of 2023, the Peel District School Board has embarked on an intensive restructuring of the teaching of early literacy. This restructuring is now today driven by the multi-year strategic plan of the Peel District School Board. I'm excited to share the classroom practices of 3 amazing primary teachers whose exemplary practices showcase the high-impact instructional practices that are happening across hundreds of primary classrooms throughout the Peel District School Board. Through their focus on Strand B of the new literacy curriculum titled Foundations of Language, they are ensuring that our Peel students, regardless of whether they have newly arrived or were born in our communities, have the requisite reading and writing skills to ensure their future success. I'd first like to highlight the teaching of Miss Cheryl Obregon, who has just secured a permanent position at Cashmere Public School. Ms. Obregon, like many primary teachers, is leveraging the research-supported teaching resources in the UFly literacy program to teach phonetics and word reading to her grade 1 class. You will see in this photo a classroom rich with literacy resources and a group of students who are engaging in phonemic awareness learning using the high engagement mini whiteboard strategy. Ms. Obregon uses high impact, high engagement instructional practices to bring many of her students from complete non-readers to full sentence writers by the end of grade 1. Next, I'll showcase Ms. Cheryl Morris, an in-school support teacher at McBride Public School, who works with small groups of students of all abilities within her colleagues' classrooms to build literacy skills using research-proven reading and writing strategies. In this photo, she's using the strategy of pound and sound, magnetic letter boards, and U-table seating to support student learning of phonemics. Ms. Morris is a school leader in teaching literacy and ensures that all students have the literacy skills they need to ensure future academic success. Finally, I'm showcasing a high-impact literacy practice by an experienced grade 2 teacher at Chris Hadfield Public School named Ms. Anya Kutsakake. Ms. Kutsakake provides students with monthly writing prompts that allow her grade 2 students to challenge themselves to improve their writing every month. She showcases these writing samples in her classroom so that parents who visit the classroom can see the progress that their children are making over the course of the year. Between writing prompts, students in Ms. Kutsakake's room engage in intensive literacy instruction that is rooted in the UFly literacy program. The 2 writing samples that I'm showcasing demonstrate one student's writing development from September to January from last school year. Furthermore, Ms. Kutsakake has reported that the writing samples from September of this current school year are much more advanced in comparison to previous years, because of the intensive literacy instruction that her teaching colleagues in grade 1 are engaging their students in. Again, the image on the left is a September writing sample, and the image on the right is a January writing sample from the same student. To close, this strong focus across the Peel District School Board on high-impact literacy strategies connected to Strand B of the new literacy curriculum is critical to achieving success with our 2024 to 2028 multi-year strategic plan. It is central to our goal of student achievement, specifically with improving core academic skills and preparing for future success. However, our board's approach to teaching literacy through high-impact instructional strategies also intersects closely with other multi-year strategic plan goals as well. Teaching literacy is essential to achieving our multi-year strategic plan goal of equity and inclusion. It is not enough that students feel seen and valued in the classroom if they don't at the same time learn to read and write at a high level. Teaching literacy is also essential to our MYSP goal of community engagement, and that effective classroom literacy instruction must be paired with complementary engagement of caregivers and the community so that high-impact instructional strategies are reinforced and practiced at home. I'm excited and optimistic about the impact of these new, innovative instructional practices will have on student literacy, future success, and PDSB EQAO testing scores. These practices are driven by our multi-year strategic plan and exemplify the exceptional work happening in schools across the Peel District School Board. Thank you.
Thank you, Superintendent. Trustee Cole and Trustee Davies, on the table for me, please. Any question, concerns? I'm seeing none. All those in favor of the report? Carries. Thank you. Okay. All right. So we're getting there. So we're going to move down to 3.1, and 3.1 is, sorry, yes, 13.1, sorry. We're going to move down to the proposed amended to our bylaw. Trustee B. McDonald? You're going to put the motion?
Want me to introduce the
Yes,
bylaw?
please.
Okay. So let's go through that. Do you want me to read the whole or just introduce the?
No, just.
Yeah, so this is a change requested by the government. As of Directive 7, the ministry requested back in June 1st, 2020, that we have adequate representation of our committees confirmed by a majority vote, at least 3/4 of the board. And at that time, we did vote that. Giselle brought a Directive 7 committee composition report back in March 22nd. The report included next steps regarding 3/4 majority. However, it was the next action of that report to put that into a bylaw. So we've received an email from the Assistant Deputy Minister stating the ministry required that to be put in a bylaw, and that is what is in front of us today. That bylaw to have the 3/4 request as part of the committee approval. If you have any questions, I'll be free to ask them. Otherwise, I'll leave it to the vote.
Yeah, so thank you for that, Trustee McDonald. As you hear, it is clear. And in conversation with ministry on more than one occasion, we had, I wanted to make it clear, we had legal advice around this. We brought back the advice from legal. However, our ministry still came back and said this is what needs to be done as we move forward. So it is here for approval. They actually, I think they're watching tonight to see the outcome of this. Once this is passed, I have to report back, or the director, one of the two, have to report back to ministry that this is done. That was the last conversation we had. So I'm going to call the vote. Trustee McDonald is putting on the floor. Trustee Carter Bailey is seconded. You have a question? Okay. All right. Good. I thought you were just putting it on the floor, girl. Go ahead.
No. I want to speak to it. I have a question for it because I don't understand it. So I want to ask a question, and through you, Chair. I asked you about it, and you said to go back to read it. So I went back to read it. So I read it, and you said it's from Directive 7. You said it's Directive 7, and you said it's specifically Directive 7. And I said, okay, no problem. And I read it. Hold on. I'm trying to find it.
Jasmine?
I did screenshot it.
Do you want me to read Directive 7?
Yeah.
Okay. The board shall review its standing and ad hoc committees and take steps to ensure that the racially diversity of the members of the board is adequate and represented the committee composition. Then the next point is by June 1st, 2020, submit confirmation adequacy of the representation is confirmed by majority vote of at least 3/4 of the board.
That's not what Directive 7 says.
It does. I'm just reading it right off our website.
Originally, that was not what Directive 7 says.
Trustee Bailey, it is, and I'm telling you that myself and the director meet monthly with the ministry, and we've been going over the directives, and it is here, and what Trustee McDonald read to you, that's what it said, and thus we are taking direction, and we're moving forward.
I took a screenshot of what Directive 7 says, and it had originally said, and I have a screenshot of it, Directive 7 had said you had to have a majority vote you had to have a majority representation of your committees. Your committees had to represent your.
Okay, so let me clear that for you. We have some standing committees, the ones that such as policies, PPMB, curriculum. Those are the ones that need to be balanced and make sure that there's proper representation on those. I provided the information to our governance office to make sure trustees are selecting. If they were not balanced according to when it come back, then I would work with our governance officer to make sure they're balanced. That was presented and was passed. That's what that is all about. The rest of the committees are committees that trustee, in your duty as trustees, you vote on.
Right, but it did not say, it did not in Directive 7, it did not tell us that we had to have
Trustee Bailey, it is the action. It is what the ministry is asking for. And the email that I think our governance officer, you want to read and share that with us before we vote, please?
I have it here if you want.
Okay, go ahead and read that for me, please, because so that we can clear on this direction.
Yep. The ministry requires confirmation that the board bylaws have been amended to include the use of self-identification process and a 3/4 majority vote for composition of standing committees and ad hoc committees. The first part of the direction on self-identification has been satisfied. However, the second part of the directive requiring an update to 3.7.1E to require a 3/4 majority vote for composition of the committees is still outstanding. The ministry is still waiting for confirmation that the bylaws have been amended to reflect the change. Despite regular meetings of the Governance and Policy Committee, the update of the existing policies have not been placed on the agenda for discussion. Therefore, the board is not in full compliance with the directive. So this is the direction to complete the directive of 7. And that's what we have in front of us as the amendment to the bylaw.
5 minutes. Can we just take 5 minutes so I can find it?
No. Trustee needs to come prepare to the
I
table.
did have it, and I don't know what happened to it.
Okay, so any, Trustee Bailey, are you finished then?
You can carry on. I
Okay,
will find
all
it.
right. Any other question, trustees? I'm seeing none. Trustees, all those in favor of the amended bylaws? Carries. Thank you. Okay, all right. No, he was put into vote, yes. Yes. Yeah, it was voted in favor. Okay, all right, thank you. Yes, I understand, Trustee House. Yes, thank you. Okay, all right, so we're going to move down to 14.1, appointment. It's a notice of motion and appointment of the Peel Learning Foundation as Peel charity of choice. Trustee Davies, this is yours.
Thank you, and through you, Chair. The motion reads as follows, that whereas the Peel Learning Foundation is a corporation without share capital incorporated by letters patent under the Corporations Act of Ontario, and that the Peel Learning Foundation is the only registered charitable organization with the sole mandate to raise funds in support of PDSB students, and is recognized by Canada Revenue Agency, and that the Peel Learning Foundation operates under a memorandum of understanding with the Peel District School Board dated October 29, 2019. Be it resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Peel District School Board endorse the Peel Learning Foundation as the charity of choice of the Peel District School Board. And further, that PDSB Communications and Community Relations staff work with Peel Learning Foundation staff to develop and implement a plan on an annual basis to raise awareness and funds on behalf of the Peel Learning Foundation from staff, schools, parents, unions and associations, and the general PDSB community to benefit PDSB students in need. And further, that the PDSB Communications and Community Relations staff work with the Peel Learning Foundation staff to develop and communicate a policy that endorses the foundation as a charity of choice, while also indicating that this does not restrict fundraising by staff, schools, or others for charities of their choosing.
So thank you, Trustee Davies, for that. That's a notice of motion, so it will be here at our next board meeting to address. So thank you for that. Thank you, appreciate that. Okay, all right, so we're going to move down to item 15, which is adoption of the enclosed session report. Trustee Cole and Trustee Clark. Just putting them on the floor for me. All those in favor?
Yes. I'd like the record to show that I'm not.
I'm going to
in
call.
favor.
I'm going to call.
Okay.
I'm going to call.
Thank you.
All those in favor? Those opposed? Abstain? Motion carries. Thank you. Okay, I'm going to move down to 16, which is the Peel success stories.
Peel District School Board's multi-year strategic plan for 2024 to 2028 identifies the most important priorities for the board, as well as the actions necessary to accomplish these goals. These goals are all interconnected, and when we collaborate on achieving them, we will be more successful in fulfilling our purpose, which is to promote student success through inclusion, innovation, and empowerment. Over the course of 3 days, more than 2,100 students came together to compete in the North Peel Cross-Country Meet, a massive and exciting event that showcased athleticism and the spirit of community, teamwork, and dedication. But what made this meet truly special was the incredible effort behind the scenes. Months of careful planning and preparation went into making this meet a reality, none of which would have been possible without the tireless dedication of organizers, coaches, and volunteers. Many of them gave up their own weekends to help set up the race site and ensure everything ran smoothly. A special thank you goes to physical education teacher Todd Ford King, along with the North Peel Physical and Health Educators Association executive, whose leadership and commitment made this event flawless. Their hard work behind the scenes ensured that every detail was taken care of, and it showed. We look forward to next year's meet and the opportunity to come together once again. For 27 years, the Jean Lum Foundation has been celebrating excellence in students of Chinese heritage across Canada. Named after Jean Lum, the first Chinese-Canadian woman to receive the Order of Canada for her tireless work as a community advocate and voice for Chinese communities, the Jean Lum Foundation honors students who carry forward her legacy of dedication, advocacy, and service. This year, 2 exceptional Peel District School Board alumni have been recognized for their outstanding achievements and leadership in their communities. Mississauga Secondary School alumnus Samantha Fung was named the recipient of the AMI Wealth Group Dignity of Life Award. She is currently studying at the United World College in Maastricht, Netherlands, to obtain her International Baccalaureate diploma. Arundel Secondary School alumnus Evelyn Lee was awarded the Jeffrey W. Lem and Susan Chong Lem Leadership Award. Evelyn, who was the South Student Trustee in the 2022 to 2023 school year, is currently enrolled in the Bachelor of Commerce Honors Program at Queen's University. Congratulations, Samantha and Evelyn. You've earned your place among the brightest and most dedicated young leaders in Canada, and we can't wait to see all the incredible things you will continue to accomplish.
Thank you for joining us this evening for Grow with Google Data Analytics virtual graduation ceremony. All students and staff received this official Google Data Analytics certificate. Those who earned the Google Data Analytics professional certificate have completed 8 courses developed by Google that include hands-on, practice-based assessments and are designed to prepare them for introductory level roles in data analytics.
My goal is to become a pediatrician or a pediatric surgeon. And at the start of the data analytics program, I had no idea how I could integrate data analytics into my chosen career path. Achieving this goal will require me to continue to learn and apply data analytics skills in order to contribute to its vital work. I'm also grateful for everyone in the Peel District School Board and Canada Learning Code organization who made this successful experience.
This certification was a phenomenal boon to both my knowledge and, most notably, it benefited me during my co-op. This real-life utilization of the knowledge gained from the program really showed just how much analyzing data can do. And I'm incredibly grateful for such an amazing opportunity that allowed me to impact real-world issues. Thank you again, and congratulations to all of my peers who completed this program.
I successfully completed the data analytics program at the end of the last school year. During the summer, I had the chance to apply these data analytics skills through a cooperative education placement. This was an exciting experience as it gave me the opportunity to apply what I had learned from this professional program. We primarily used Google Sheets, and I enjoyed working with various tools like conditional formatting, data validation, and even pivot tables. This hands-on experience reinforced my understanding and demonstrated the practical value of the techniques I learned during the data analytics program.
I would like to invite parent Arlene Foster to take the virtual stage. Arlene is Ariana's mom, and we are again so happy and grateful to Ms. Foster for joining us this evening to share a few words with all of us here.
Through this program, Ariana mastered time management and developed strong analytical and critical thinking skills. allowing her to manage her time, breaking down complex problems, and draw meaningful insights in real-life situations. The skills she gained not only prepare her for academic success, but also will have a lasting impact on her development and future. In closing, I want to thank everyone for their support and dedication to this program. The success of this program speaks for itself, as we have heard the voices of these accomplished graduates, including my daughter Ariana. Let's keep supporting initiatives that help young minds reach their full potential. Thank you.
To support with the multi-year strategic plan on enhancing safety and sense of belonging in Peel schools, the Safety and Wellbeing Department held the very first student-led Consent Culture Conference at Turner Fenton Secondary School on October 23, 2024. Hosted by students from the Consent Culture Leadership Team, staff and students from 62 Peel elementary and secondary schools in grades 6 to 12 came together to learn about getting and giving consent, healthy relationships, establishing boundaries, online safety, and healthy masculinity from community partners who facilitated interactive and engaging workshops for our students. Students collaborated with each other to co-plan, explore new consent culture resources, and share best practices on how consent culture will either be initiated or continued in their school to build school capacity and to ensure a safe and respectful environment in Peel schools for all students.
On November 7th, the Safety and Wellbeing Department hosted the second annual Fusion Student Conference at CBO, a day full of workshops and activities to equip students in grades 6 through 8 with skills that promote community, respect, and inclusion. The goal of Fusion is to bring students back together regularly for guidance, inspiration, mentorship, and community, as we work with them to empower them in cultivating safe, caring, and equitable school environments. On Take Our Kids to Work Day, grade 9 students across the region stepped out of the classroom and into the world of work, exploring potential career paths and gaining valuable real-world experiences. At Central Board Office, students had the unique opportunity to learn firsthand about the many departments that keep our school board running smoothly. From security and risk management to design and construction, it was a day of exploration, learning, and inspiration. Students also had the chance to sit down with the Director of Education in the boardroom. Here they gained insights into the leadership role and had the opportunity to ask questions about what it takes to lead and manage a school board, while Director Swaroop learned all about their aspirations. Thank you to everyone who participated and made Take Our Kids to Work Day a success. For the first time since before the pandemic, Great Start, the annual orientation and training event for school council members was held in person, and it was a memorable one. We are incredibly fortunate to be part of a school board community where parents and guardians are not only involved, but deeply invested in the future of Peel students. The passion, dedication, and commitment they bring is truly inspiring, and it is an important part of what makes our school board community thrive. A special thanks goes out to the Parent Involvement Committee, the driving force behind this event, for their work in organizing and leading the day. Their commitment to fostering parent engagement in our schools is invaluable. A heartfelt recognition to Saria Talat and Shazia Hassan, the co-chairs of the Parent Involvement Committee, for their leadership and dedication to this important initiative. With the support of the entire Parent Involvement Committee, they are ensuring that parents feel empowered and equipped to make a lasting impact on Peel students' educational journeys. Forest Guardians Chaha Kaur Rubanya Anand, Melanie Rose Ramcharan, and Chitra Sekri continue to receive accolades for their first-place finish at the World Robot Olympiad in Italy. Their extraordinary achievement was met with a warm and well-deserved recognition by the City of Mississauga at a recent City Council meeting. Mayor Carolyn Parrish and Councillor Natalie Hart presented certificates of accomplishment to the team, along with a special honor, the ceremonial key to the city, presented to Darcel Avenue Senior Public School in recognition of their outstanding achievement. That was followed with a trip to Ottawa for each team member and their parents, where they were guests in Parliament while their achievement was honoured at the highest level, recognised in the House of Commons by MP Iquinder Gahir.
The Fantastic Forest Guardians made history as the first ever Canadian team to take the top spot at this competition.
Hear, hear.
Speaker, when I look at their faces, I know with deep conviction that their futures will help determine no less than the destiny that this nation will fulfill. It's clear to me that the future of Mississauga Malton is bright and promising, and I invite all parliamentarians in joining me to congratulate them and celebrate their significant achievement.
Hear,
Thank
hear.
you.
Thank you, Director, for that inspiration video and the work that has been done in our school. On behalf of the entire Board of Trustees, please congratulate our staff that are leading the work out in the school for us. We thank you, and thank you to our staff tonight, those that are present, those that are online. Thank you for your patience tonight, for being here with us for another night. We look forward. We have one more meeting before we celebrate the holiday, and we look forward to continue the work that you have set out and that you continue to do. You know, I had many opportunities over the last little while to speak at some of this amazing work that has been done on our board, and I'm always so inspired by the passion, the commitment, and the drive that I see continue. You know, especially the data analytics that I was able to speak at the opening and everything like that. It is so amazing. Our board is going places, and we need to continue, push forward, and let nothing stop us from doing the good work that you're doing. We will have challenges, we'll have hiccups along the way, but guess what? That's not going to stop us. That is just going to empower us to keep moving forward. So thank you. Adjournment, Trustee Cameron, Trustee Bailey. All those in favor? Carries. Thank you. Have yourself a wonderful night.